And now we're back for design. We're going to get into it. So my first 2024 bingo card entry is that flat color takes over again fully from gradient. I talked about this in like a reel I made about like app colors or whatever apps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's like colors. I feel like it's like always like a pendulum that swings between like gradients and flat color for like animation or like backgrounds. And I think apps are like app icons are like a really great example of that, because like I think we're all kind of familiar of like when the app icon will kind of have like the shade and little like highlight to make it look more round, and then when they all go totally flat. And it just like goes back and forth, and gradients were like super big, and then they kind of like went back out, and then they kind of came back in again. And so I think it's time for like to really go back into flat color.
Okay.
I think it's 2023 was like the middle, and now we're gonna be on the other side again.
Okay. I do really like a gradient, but there definitely is kind of like a archaic way of doing a gradient now. Like some like look aged, like almost as if they're like a PowerPoint effect kind of gradient. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think more like subtle gradients, like more of a like, ooh, like it adds like depth, but it's not actually like super changing color has been happening, and I do like that. I do like love to do that in the little background, like where you can't really tell, but it just does add something.
Just a little analogous color scheme.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we'll get back into that fully. That's my prediction.
Nice.
Next up, as far as like color scheme goes, I think that 2024, it's going to be very like green and other utility tones are going to be like taking like the forefront.
What is a utility tone?
So by utility
anticipating
tones,
my question.
I mean like brown, orange, and like yellow, sort of, you know.
What makes them like utility colors?
Well, that's like a term I made up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they're colors that I associate with like utility, as in like work, like
they're used in construction.
Yes.
They're rooted in nature.
Yes, like you could find all of these things in like a cabin house. All those colors would be there because they have a neon hat or vest for walking in the woods. They have camo, things are green, and I feel like this is kind of like, like browns are already so back in, like browns, beiges, creams in general.
I did just paint my living room a very dark green, and I'm obsessed.
I thought you were going to say beige. And
what? Very dark
horrified.
Beige. No, it's a very like dark, rich green, and I feel very luxurious.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, I think green is like so back in, and
good for her.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I'm not a beige or cream or brown person, but we're definitely seeing it in fashion. All the Bachelor girlies are using like the brown heart in their captions on Instagram.
A weird and strangely unified choice.
Yeah, like that's like
heart?
What's in is like brown.
Oh my god.
Kat, who's on Bachelor on Paradise, famously, or not famously anymore, maybe that was overshadowed by other actions on Bachelor, but it was like, beige is my favorite color.
I mean, you know the aesthetic of some people, like some lifestyle blogs and influencers that have a very beige cream aesthetic.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of people are calling it like boring, whatever. I do think it's very like calming. It's very neutral. Yeah. It's very like soft, palatable.
Right. But yeah, I guess so like that's like really in now, and I think in 2024 we're going to see that kind of combined with like these rich greens and then these like pops of like vibrant orange and yellow as kind of like the next iteration of those colors coming together, like adding some pops back in.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
And I don't really see this necessarily in like web design happening, but like in graphic design or just like in general popular colors. Okay. That's my... And then that leads me to like Pantone color of the year. I don't know what it's going to be. We could speculate, but I think it's going to be another flop. Like...
Yeah, I'm painting rooms in a house right now. We were at the store waiting for them to shake up our paint, and we saw like a big poster they had for like color of the year, and it was that color in a space, and me and my husband were like talking so much trash about how that color looked as like a dining room choice. We were like, oh my God.
Right, and you're talking about the Viva Magenta?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a 2023 color, obviously, but like background for other people. 2023 was Viva Magenta, and it's just like not it.
I do like a magenta, but I did pull this up, and we were starting to talk about it earlier, but the whole explore the magentaverse.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know. It doesn't, nothing about this color palette appeals to me.
I don't want khaki with my magenta. I don't know why they made that choice. Do you have a prediction on what the color of the year what family it could be in?
Like, well, we've been talking about green a lot. I feel like green could be a good choice, but I just don't think that's what they're going to pick. I feel like they're going to pick something like very random.
Okay. Like magenta felt like a random pick.
Yeah. Like, I think a lot of us a lot of people our age at least associate when like the color of the year was like rose quartz, and that was like the color of the year. It was such a big thing, and then I feel like I like didn't hear about it again, and it's because they've all been like irrelevant. Not like I remember, to throw shade on Pantone, but like
I think ultraviolet had a moment. But I haven't really heard of it since then. It went from a little bit of ultraviolet to talking trash about magenta in the paint store.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
That might, when do they normally announce that? That might be the first bingo card.
It might be. We might be talking about it when this comes out and it's already been announced, and everyone will be like, oh, we know what it is.
True. So true.
They're talking. Yeah. Oh my God. So moving on from like more kind of general trends and colors and whatnot. And we kind of touched on collaborative editing earlier. You think there's going to be more of that in like native app features. And we talked about Figma being a very popular creative collaborative editing tool that we use. And Adobe bought Figma a while ago.
Oh, a while ago?
A while ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware.
And it looks like 2024, they are going to be kind of rolling out like new features and integrations into the Adobe like Creative Cloud and stuff.
Oh, well, that might be very cool. That might be very useful.
It could, but it could also be bad. Like, as someone who like uses Figma every single day, and like, don't get me wrong, like I've used Photoshop a ton, and like Illustrator, Premiere. I'm a Premiere girly through and through. Like, but there's something about Figma. It's like very different, and like Adobe XD, it's like never been my thing. I don't know. They just are kind of different environments, and
Figma feels more organic, whereas Adobe products feel much more structured.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, the prediction is we know those changes and integrations are going to be rolling out. I already saw that they posted about integrating FigJam with some other product I'm not really familiar with, like Firefly or something.
Never heard of it.
From Adobe, yeah. And
sometimes you just have to let a good thing be a good thing,
right?
And not mess with it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm thinking it's going to get worse first, just because like with most things, when you're like trying something out and figuring it, like it gets worse before it gets better.
Right.
I really hope it gets better. But also like with that happening, I think we're gonna see the rise of like another web design platform come up, like another smaller one
that it makes an opportunity.
Like, yeah, at least for a bit. Like if people like didn't want to be kind of Adobe people, I think, and we don't know what they're doing with the pricing structure yet, but like one of the reasons like Adobe Figma was so popular is that Adobe has such a cost barrier for like subscriptions and stuff. It's very expensive, and Figma in its like basic form, there is a free version available anyone can use. And
do you think that'll go away?
I don't know. We'll see.
That would be so sad.
But I think regardless, it's definitely leaving a space that potentially, I'm sure somebody is like gonna try and fill that.
Do you have any predictions?
I don't know of any other companies. I'm not like super on the up and up in the companies. I mean, obviously before Figma, there was Sketch, which
Canva.
I
Canva's
also
gonna try.
no, not Canva. I have a prediction about Canva too.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so like who knows? Maybe Sketch could come back and like because the thing that made Figma so special and different from Sketch was the collaborative editing. That was like big time.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. So like who knows? Maybe Sketch will roll out from the grave a collaborative editing feature and then come up again. But yeah, we'll see. I think that this
especially if they remove the free version.
Yeah.
Massive opportunity.
I don't know if there was like a free version of Sketch, but either way it was much cheaper than any Adobe subscription.
Right, yeah.
So like just the cost of entry is just a massive deal. So yeah, I definitely think there will be an opportunity there for a new software like competitor to come up.
We shall see.
Yeah. And on that note of talking about like acquiring and stuff, I think either Google or Adobe will acquire Canva.
I think that's a solid prediction.
Right?
'Cause don't they always?
Yeah. Like,
oh, but I don't want to see it. I want to see like a brand just succeed as themselves and not get bought out by someone.
Yeah. Like I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, did Figma set out and they were like, yeah, it's like become super popular. We never anticipated it, and now we sold out. And like, I'm sure those people made a ton of money and they're very happy.
Yes,
but also it's like not monopolies.
I know.
But yeah, like Adobe came out with Adobe Express, kind of a whole line of products, centered around like faster, quicker templatization, editing, or design to try and compete with like more native editing apps and like Canva specifically. And they just haven't caught on. They're not popular. Like if you're someone who like has Adobe and is using Adobe, like you're using Photoshop or Illustrator, like you're not using the pre-made templates really fast.
I think I was seeing like Lightroom Express for a while, but like it. Again, like there's just other apps I think people would rather be using.
Yeah. And the just plain Adobe Express is specifically like the like add templates and stickers, like very Canva-esque. But yeah, they just haven't caught on. And so I think either Adobe will acquire Canva similar as they did to Figma to take out the competition, or I think Google could also be another company that could, be interested in that kind of stuff. It would be a little bit different from what they're doing now, but maybe like we want to get into this space and expand.
Yeah.
Which, if you can't beat them, just dominate them with your wealth and power. So we'll see.
Oh, that would be sad. I do actually really appreciate Canva for what it is.
Yeah. Like I don't like to use it, but I understand. I do think it like is a good service and is nice because like it is a good entry point for so many like people who aren't designers. So like I totally get it. It's like it's not for me, but like it is for other people. I'm not the main audience. So that makes sense.
Yeah. People would be devastated if free Canva disappeared.
Yeah. So we've talked about AI a lot. We've also talked about shopping a lot. Now we're going to talk about them in the new context, which is like UX and sites. I predict that we'll see more AI integrations in e-commerce sites, specifically for like shopping experiences, like an AI stylist or shopper that'll like curate a cart for you instantly.
Oh, I could be interested in that.
Yeah.
As a consumer.
Yeah. Like it's kind of like the next iteration of like those like Stitch Fix like subscription boxes where it's like, oh, like a stylist, if there is one, maybe it was AI the whole time. Right. But like, it's like, oh, we like put together a box of things based off your like quiz and here you go. I think that'll happen, but it'll be like, more instantaneous and quicker. Like you fill out a quiz and they give you things, or you check a couple boxes and it's like, here's your proposed cart or something. Something that, like makes shopping faster.
Now, I guess this is already what, like if you scroll down, it says like recommended products or products for you. I guess that's already in that vein. Like that's AI, right?
Well, I mean, it depends on the site, but it could be that those recommended products aren't tailored to the person. They're tailored to the product that you're currently looking at.
Oh, that would make sense. Okay.
That's what it is most of the time. Like, oh, if you like this sweatshirt, you're probably interested in these things. Not this person has viewed all of these items and we're learning and implementing that in the recommended items. Okay. So yeah, I think that could be like another way it goes. It's just more personalized recommended or suggested items as well.
Okay.
And yeah, I think this would be like, yeah, actually nice and helpful way AI could like be involved that isn't annoying and actually like doesn't really, I mean, if it's like taking over like shoppers or stylists, like, yeah, that is like taking human jobs. But if it's just like making suggestions based off like your browsing and like sick, I love that.
That is one of those things where if it's like pulled off well and it's not suddenly like jarring, people would adopt that very quickly. Yeah.
And who doesn't love like a personalized experience, a quiz? People love a quiz. Yeah. I'd be so into it.
I know on, I guess like Shein acquired
Romwe?
Whatever that other one is. And I know there's, and it's different because it's how pages are organized, but there's like grunge, fairycore, like that.
The collections.
Right. I think that's very cool. And I'd like to see, I think, more of that, like what you're shopping kind of organized as like
suggested for you.
Yeah. They learn your vibe.
Yes. I would like that. That would definitely require a lot of like tracking and analytics, but I think it could be pulled off first party data, which we've touched on some, not to be like data. I'm not an analytics expert by any means, but I think these sorts of improvements with cookies and stuff and all those great things or bad things, I don't know, whatever. I think that it could be pulled off with like the interior of the site without having to track you across all your web browsing. Definitely. And I mean, I love the Instagram like suggested for you ads and shopping. We were just talking about it.
We were just talking about it. We've like bought each other gifts from it.
I'm like, oh, it knows exactly the perfect thing. Thank you for suggesting this. Yes. But yeah, so I think would be a great feature to see. Yeah, AI enter e-commerce spaces.
Nice. I would welcome that.
Yeah, we already talked about the more native design features in Instagram, so that's skip.
Don't say skip, just it's on the bingo card.
yes, we already talked about it earlier. So moving on to maximalism stays for now.
I really like maximalism.
Yes,
I was never like a super big fan of minimalism. I do love maximalism.
Yes, I think it's gonna stay, and I think we're going to slowly see not like full maximalism per se in like it's more the way you like see it in interior design or fashion. But like maybe some, quirky fun traits like trickle into UX and websites. Like it's really hard because like UX and UI, it's always like, oh, you want everything to be very clear hierarchy, make the user path very like obvious. Obviously with like fonts, which I have like is kind of it's like the next bullet, but also it's kind of related to, it's like you have like Google fonts are like the most browser friendly fonts, so like you're kind of limited to those choices, especially for like just the best kind of experience for everyone. So it definitely takes a longer time, I think, than how extremely rapidly the like commerce and fashion, like interior design stuff, like the trends go. Like it takes a longer to see that represented like in web design spaces or whatever. Because there's so much more like production time that goes into that and to support it. But I think it's been in long enough and is still kind of going strong enough that we'll start to see some reflections of it in our like UI and web design. Not in like the TikTok way. TikTok is like maximalist UI in a bad way. Don't want that. But maybe like we'll see more like fun colors happening.
I'd like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like everyone uses the same 4 colors.
Exactly. My computer's dead, but we're almost done. So yeah, like I think that's a way we could see it come in. I think maybe like I've seen, not super common, but on some sites, adding, you know, when you used to have like your cursor would move and like little sparkles would fall on it.
I noticed. Oh, who was it? I noticed that again on a site recently, and I was like, yes.
There are a handful of sites that I visit that like have that, and I love that. And it's so fun. And
it is fun.
It doesn't impact the user like experience as far as like making it messy or jumbling things up, but it does impact the user experience that you're like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, when I used to like code my own Tumblr page, I would always do something with the cursor.
Yeah.
It's just like weirdly nostalgic.
Yeah. I would love to see that like come back more, like fun cursors in general. There's definitely also some like sites, not like huge. Like when I say huge, I mean like not like your mainstream like Progressive or Insurance, like big like giant stores and stuff, but there are definitely some smaller sites that have like some low-key like meme design. They're pulling more internet culture into their websites, and I think that's like great and fun too.
Right.
Yeah.
If that's your target audience, you're like really nailing it.
Yeah. Like let's find those creative ways to like bring that back in, get some nostalgia, get some maximalism.
Oh, thank God, because everything has been so the same for so long now.
Yeah.
Like every logo is like the same color. I'm sick of black and white and blue.
Right?
It just like, please.
And yeah, my like last prediction, which was related to that, was more kind of statement or decorative fonts coming back in. Maybe some serifs, maybe some scripts.
Serifs are cute.
Yeah, obviously with, like I said, like browser supported fonts, that is limiting, but I think we'll see like more of the decorative options used, or some statement fonts like being added in a way. Maybe they're like a little chunky or a little blocky or a little like retro, just like playing around
more retro fonts.
Yes. Oh, I saw Instagram. I haven't seen it since, but like one day I was using Instagram and all of a sudden there were all these new fonts in like the font options, and then it like went away. So I think it was literally like a test of beta that disappeared, and they were so fun, and there was like multiple kind of retro ones.
Why would they do that? Bring it back.
So yeah, I think it's like, it's definitely happening. Like,
it's coming.
When,
I'm so
imminent.
excited. I'm so excited for like more diversity. Honestly,
break it up. Get some more, and I think that also kind of relates in a way to what you're saying about being like authentic versus relatable. Just like getting more individualism. Into the space, so not everything looks the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Like have a personality. It's okay. No one's going to be mad at you.
I think that's at the core of some of these trends that we're seeing for sure.
Can't wait.
Yeah.